course, Vaxanity. Okay, make sure everything's set up good. I think we're good. Close that. I think we're ready. Thank you for patience. At a party. You're back. Welcome back. Weird time signature stuff. Pretty cool. Yeah, Joe, I'm alright, thanks. I had, COVID after GDC. One of those, you know? Big oh well. So that put me on my ass for a week. And I'm still occasionally coughing a bit, but feeling pretty good. Thank you. The soundtrack's so good. My brother and I played the heck out of this game when we were kids. So today, we have Amine? 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 Perhaps we'll have a commentary portfolio piece that will speak the name aloud. Let's find out. Lots of redesigns. Lots of redesigns. Audio mod examples. Valheim mod, that's fun. Here we go. You talking? No. Oh, it's text. That's too bad. Alright. We're starting this wrong right now. I apologize. Next tune is though. Oh, Guru's Mantra. This is gonna be too sad. It's the church music. And the Guru says, "You need peace of mind. I will meditate with you." And then it just gives you your save code to put in, but it's like a Metroid style code of just garbage letters and numbers for like 30 characters. That's the Guru's Mantra. It's pretty funny. Elven King. No. Oh my god. It's too good. Alright, so some news. We did GDC. We are back from GDC. We had some... Oh, geez. How many people were at our freaking mentorship roundtable? A bunch. A bunch, wasn't it? Wasn't it like a bunch? I think so. Let me find this. It's, oh, how do we not repost that? Crazy. The heck. Here we go. Yeah. Check it out. Pretty cool. Some more people back here, some more back here. Probably 40-ish in total, 30, 40 people. There's Danny Bernowski right here. You got Vitor Amato. We got Graham, I want to say. Was that his name? Graham something? Oscar was there as well. We got Steven Shapiro back here. Colin back here. Freaking Eric Lorenz of Team Audio. Chillin'. Ali Cedrone. And Oda as well. From Knock Knock Audio. A lot of good folks. Ben came back too. from last year. Good crew. Yeah, it was a good time. I'm glad that, I mean, we hadn't done it, oh, that's you! Right here? Oh, fair enough. Too many folks. Apologies. Should I have known that? I don't know. Maybe I should have known that. But anyway. Yeah, so GDC was a good time. Non-stop as usual. But I feel like this year is a pretty good mix of talks and just seeing friends and mentorship and just straight business. It was nice. It was a good balance overall. A really good time. Also, BAFTAs are tonight. Did you know? BAFTA Games Awards. It's true. It's happening tonight. Big recommend. You check it out. What's next on the soundtrack? Oh yeah, let's go. Overworld. Amazing. Here are the nominees. Animation, Artistic, Audio Achievement. Or... oh, it's done! My mistake! It's done! I was thinking it was in like 2 hours. My time zones were fully wrong. Frickin' Alan Wake 2 for the win. There you go. I'll have to watch the stream. Frig. It's alright. Anyways. Exciting. Good stuff all around. Artistic Achievement, Alan Wake 2, Audio, Alan Wake 2. Best Game? Oh, it's like happening right now. They don't know yet. Oh man, it's happening right now. Music. These are yet to be announced. Crazy. Oh, and Venbo and Best Debut. Sick. Very nice. Well, Alan Wake 2 does sound very good, it's true. Okay, so let's get on with this though, shall we? Enough of that. This is real talk. We're having a look at some, well, some demo materials. One demo from one person. Amine Larbi. Is Amine Larbi here? Amine? Amine? Amine L. Ugh, I wish I knew how your name was pronounced. It would be great if you were here, but we'll see if you are or not. We're going to find out. But we are going to look through this content from a few different angles, but all in the interest of trying to identify where there might be room to improve their approach to this whole finding a job thing. And we're looking at this from a few different angles. Down below, presentation, material selection, content quality, and distinction. And for the presentation, we'll do first, we're going to look at the whole website, all of it. We got some things here. It looks vertical, though. Vertical page. So this is all of it, right here. Oh, but no, About's separate. I've been there. So About is a separate page. Everything else is vertical. There's a brief bio, and that's it. All right. So I'll have a look at that. Also, the Reels, I guess reel here, and this is the Wise Unity implementation example. All right, we'll have a glance at that too. We glanced already, and I'm already not stoked, but we can talk about that. The next thing up, as far as like presentation in the reel, though, is things like the length of the thing. How long is it? 107, 106. Wonderful. We'll talk about the intro, outro, lower thirds, like all those nameplates and stuff, all that stuff. Transitions, flow, pacing, everything. And then onto material selection. We look at what the pieces are that have been chosen to appear in the demo reel, or what these things are in the portfolio, and what those various things may suggest to somebody coming in fresh. What it may suggest about this person's future ambitions, their aspirations, perhaps their current skill sets, or what they've been working on in the past, credits, that kind of thing. Their work history. All these things. And I mean, just glancing right now, I mean, we have Last of Us 2, Tekken 8, Armored Core, Demon Souls. This is leaning pretty AAA. And then up here, we have Hades and Valheim. Like, these are not the same games as basically everything else. I mean, right? But we can talk about that too. Next, content quality. Just, is this stuff good? Is there room to improve as far as their approach in terms of balance and panorama and frequency range and dimension and dynamics and interest, all that stuff? It probably is. I imagine there's probably room to improve somewhere at least. So we can talk about that. And finally, distinction. Just, is this person standing out in a crowd in some positive way? As it may surprise you to hear, there's a lot of folks looking for work out there, and it's real damn important to stand out in some way, even if that means you aren't getting hired this time around. Standing out in some positive way can mean you are at the front of the pack next time that studio hires. It could mean that you miss it by a nose and refer that person to another gig. I have done that many times. Someone's come to us and said, hey, we're looking to hire, any recommendations? Well, I mean, real talk, myself personally, I've looked at hundreds of demo reels. Yeah, I have ideas of someone who you could hire, of course. So, but I mean, there are absolutely reels in here. I mean, and by in here, I mean reels that we have looked at in the past 7 years that I absolutely forgot the month after, the week after, because they just blur into the background. It's not because that person hasn't been working hard. It could be any variety of reasons. It could be the presentation is kind of flat and samey and nothing's sticking out. It could be that the audio itself is like quite junior, and due to the way it's presented and due to brand identity stuff and due to everything else, it just isn't served anymore. I've seen some reels where the audio is super junior, so junior, but the way they presented themselves just speaks so well to this person's understanding of how to package something. The idea of storytelling, telling the story of themselves, is so strong that suddenly concerns about is their audio up to snuff is secondary because everything else is there. There's a lot of reasons that I might want to recommend that person to a studio, even though their sound design might not be at industry standard of awesome shipping quality yet, So it's just, you got to stand out in some way. You got to. Okay. And yeah, I'll just say one time, well, probably more than once in this stream, but we'll see. As far as standing out in some positive way, as far as all this stuff's concerned, it's not even about whether you are good enough for the position. It's about whether or not you are rising above everybody else who is applying. And there are hundreds of people. So when you have things like in an implementation reel where there's text and not you speaking, this is a great example of something that somebody else is just doing better, And it says absolutely. We've seen nothing of what you've done in this reel so far, but just the way it's being put together is already going to be a minus compared to somebody else who's commentating, who is just by doing that is implicitly communicating their ability to record a voice capably and to edit a voice and maybe do RX work and mix and do sidechain stuff like ducking. All these opportunities to kind of further show your skills just because they're not putting text on the screen, It's not just about, is this good enough? It's about, is somebody else doing it more effectively? And if they are, they're getting the job, and you're just not getting the job. Yeah, anyways. Alexander Vaughn, what's up, pal? Vitor, what's up, pal? Jovertones, good to see ya. TM Base. Thexis. Thexis Games, I should know who you are. I recall that handle. And you said something like, oh, this is, and it's someone we looked at recently, right? Is it Aaron? Or Mike? I'm sorry. I should know. I fully don't. Is that my fault? It's at least partially my fault. So I apologize for that partial amount. Okay. It's Tyler. Oh my lord. What up? I almost said fam. Fan, right? P-H-A-N? Tyler Fan? Fam? Fan. I was gonna say what's up fam, but that didn't sound right. Anyways, yes. Went climbing at GDC with Tyler. It was very fun. Good gym. Fam. It was fam. God bless. I should just committed to the joke, right? I'm sure you've never heard that before. I gotta assume everyone says "What up, fam" to you all the time. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with. I'm gonna say Amine the entire stream. I might be wrong, but Amine Larbi. I don't know if Amine's here. It seems like maybe not. I think they did like the tweet I put out. Last week or 2 weeks ago, saying that we'll be looking at their stuff soon. Flippin' Mongoose on Twitter. It's one of those coughs. Post-COVID. It was fun watching you break Try Harder. Try Harder? Is it Try Again? I think it's called Try Again. I'm searching this, though. IGF student Try Again. Yeah, Try Again. But yes, the student game Try Again from, where's it from? Come on, I should know where this is from. I'm searching this. Is it University of South California, USC? Or, man, I don't know. I can't find this easily. Someone find it for me, please. I cannot find this. I can name a bunch of folks that I met at that booth, but I don't know where it's from. USC. Was it USC? Anyways, yeah. Good time. Fun time. They got freaking Nolan North to do voiceover for it. It's pretty hilarious. The hookups. Amine Larbi. Let's have a look here. So we got, again, the front page is a vertical style page. We got home and portfolio. That's it. Oh, but once we hit portfolio, we're down. There's no more banner to click. It is gone. So we're scrolling or not. And right away, first impressions, there's a lot of stuff here. Portfolio, Valheim, Hades, Tiny Tina's Wonderland, Team Fight Tactics, Avowed, Armored Core, Marathon Reveal trailer, Elden Ring, Tekken 8, The Last of Us 2, I'd say Part 2, that's the name of the game, Demon Souls. Also, is that... it's demons like possessive, right? Yeah. Apostrophe right here. Apostrophe, please. Oh, also this one. Okay, that one's correct. My bad. Armored Core 6. Hey, Steve. Good to see you, my friend. About. Let's have a look. Amine Larbi. Okay, sound designer. Got it. There's the email address. Hi, I'm a sound designer for video games based in London. Okay. As I work towards my mechanical engineering degree, hey Vitor, can you relate? I guess you're chemical, my mistake. I spend my time focusing on my passion, sound design, and competing in Tekken whenever I can. Okay. Ever since I stumbled upon the Star Wars Republic Commando Foley featurette early in my life, my interest in game audio is ignited. I am deeply passionate about crafting nuanced narratives and atmospheres by finely tuning the tone of my sound design. While my interest in game audio is diverse, I particularly love designing abilities, guns, and anything sci-fi or fantasy. Okay, like, we've learned a bit, but not much. And also, okay, so the thing with this is that no one's going to read this unless they already like your stuff. And we always say that. It just is true. No one's going to read your bio if your demo reel is trash or it's just not worth looking deeper or whatever. If it's just way too junior, if there's like massive sweeping issues, whatever the case may be that leads someone to say, okay, we're done. And they close the window. They're not going to go, oh, but wait, let's learn about this person a bit more first. They just don't have time. They have hundreds of demo reels to go through. They can't possibly devote many, many minutes to each person. Just not going to happen. So if they read this, their chief motivation for doing so is to learn about you. So things like this sentence, I am deeply passionate about crafting nuanced narratives and atmospheres by finely tuning the tone of my sound design. Like that one's, it's not the most generic sentence we've ever seen on Real Talk, but this sentence can kind of be in anybody's bio. That can be in my bio, you know? This one's a little more you. That's cool. Your origin story as far as seeing the Star Wars Republic Commando Foley featurette. It's a mouthful. Sure. It's not really about you that much. Like you saw something and got into game audio. That's fine. That's good to know. But like you're in mechanical engineering. That's about you. You're in London. That's about you. The competing in Tekken is kind of jokey. And I mean, you have it down here. Favorite games of all time. There's Tekken 8 right there. It can't hurt to have a little single sentence finish. In my spare time, I like doing this, this, and this. Because they're not like this bio. I would encourage you to write this bio from the angle of every sentence should be something that is using this recruiter's seconds effectively. And if they took many seconds to read this and learned nothing, then that's what I'm talking about. Is can you perhaps swap things in, rephrase things, talk about like what's the deal with you're getting a mechanical engineering degree, but you're looking to work in sound design? So what's happening here? You kind of glaze over this. Do you want to be a mechanical engineer professionally? Are you going to just have a sound design job briefly and then get back into mechanical engineering? You know, I mean, this kind of thing, working towards a degree, is huge and shows a great amount of work ethic and, wide variety of skill sets and perhaps a diverse and balanced individual. Who knows, right? It can suggest a lot of things, but we just don't have much information here. If I'm reading this thing to learn more, why? Yeah, why, Steve? Right? Like, why are these two things part of your life? I don't even want to draw conclusions, but you're kind of forcing me to a bit, right? We just have to make assumptions. So I know it comes up all the time on Real Talk. It's always awkward to write about oneself. It's never a comfortable place to be at. And despite that, we must. You must write about yourself. Write all about yourself. Your bio can be double this length, and that would be fine. This text is pretty big, big spacing and stuff. It can be double this length. You can teach us a little bit more if you're being careful about how much you're saying, trying to be a bit more concise. Sure, but again, if people are reading this, it's because they want to learn. They aspire to learn about you. It's why they're here. So this is where you should be talking about you, specifically you, plenty. All right? More of that. Down here, this is great. I love seeing these things. This is a great way to kind of bring in some additional potential for conversation starter. I say, well, I love Tekken 8 also. Who do you main? Like, who's your main in Tekken 8? Oh, Destiny? Not Destiny 2? Are you playing 2? But I mean, this is one thing I'm really stressed about it all the time. I mean, if I'm doing something like write in the name of a project that Power Ups worked on, I will always, out of paranoia, Google the name and double check how the name is exactly presented on the Steam store page or on the developer's website or wherever. There are multiple games in here that are not presented like this. You know, Counter-Strike has a hyphen. I'm pretty sure this has a colon on Alien Isolation. Does it? Let's find out. It does, yes. So these Nier Automata, capital R, colon. Exactly, Sean. Yeah. There's just, these are, I mean, you're in the industry, and these are details. These are the crafts, the craft of your future peers, perhaps, that you are celebrating. And it's just the smallest courtesy is to present it exactly as they have presented it. Yes? It's happened a few times now on the main page and here as well. You just got to get it right. In fact, even inside is all caps. Yeah, there you go. So on the Steam, this is all caps. Just, it's got to get dealt with. It's gotta. Also stuff like this. We got Wise space comma, Unreal Engine space comma, and then Premiere Pro comma, no space. Sweet should probably be capital S. Just all these little details. It just cannot possibly hurt to get it right, you know. Home. Years were spent debating the capitalization of the R in here. There you go. Yes. All right. So front page. We've kind of seen this. There's not a lot of I'm not sure what the word is here. I mean, there aren't a lot of categories of stuff, right? We have about, we got home, which is the portfolio plus a reel. So good that you have this up top. I make cool sounds for video games. Okay, well, we shall see. And so creative game audio reel. And then it's named something different. Amine game audio reel 2024, dated. And oh no, it's happened. It's been a while, admittedly. Implementation. This word. That was the #1 most misspelled word in years 1 and 2 of Real Talk, and I feel like it's improved greatly in more recent years. Maybe because we called it out during a 2018 GDC talk, Matthew Martinson and myself, being the #1 misspelled word. This has got to be addressed. It is spelled right here. That's good. Portfolio. So down here, we got Valheim audio mod. So being top left is pretty cool. So, okay, some examples is kind of interesting. I guess this is, because it's the thing with this is you can see the titles on the way you've embedded this. We can see the titles of these clips and these titles, and the fact they don't match is kind of weird. You know, we have Valheim audio mod, some examples. It's kind of a weird title. There's no, like, this is hyphen sound redesign. There's no hyphen here, and this isn't really a full sentence. And then down here it just says audio mod. Down here it says cinematic sound redesign, and just Hades, not Hades trailer. The thing is, it doesn't need to be this or this, but they probably just should be consistent. And then this one says Tiny Tina's Wonderland. This one says Wonderlands. I feel I've made my point here. Just this has got to be addressed just for detail stuff. Okay. So, but as far as what it is, let's just glance. So in the portfolio, we got audio mod. I made this Valheim mod to change the two-handed greatsword to sound more guts-like. Oh! The guts like Berserk. I then changed the parry, critical hit, which is randomly pitch shifted, and footsteps to practice designing simple game sounds to a specific thematic. All right. Hades cinematic sound redesign. Designing sounds for animations required a different approach, similar to anime, which I used for references. Okay. Excuse me. Oh, okay. And last thing, I gotta jump back again. Sean, this is not what you said, but it reminded me. This picture for your bio is kind of just very fine. You know, perhaps it is. I'm assuming it is certainly you. We can assume it's you, and perhaps it is indicative of your vibe and your style and so forth. But again, I cannot stress enough. You got to think about the seconds, the valuable seconds people have on your website. If there's recruiters, if there's potential collaborators, whoever it is that's visiting this site for a reason, they want to learn things. And this is a great opportunity to just teach a little bit more. So this could be a picture of a chef, you know, it could be a picture of any kind of professional out there. But you being in game audio, I mean, it's great seeing photos of folks doing field recording, they're playing bass on stage for a band stage show. There's like all these different things. It could just be them at their desk with their synths behind them or whatever. Something just to have a little more to hold on to. Because again, this isn't about whether you are good enough. It's about you are up against hundreds of others, and many of those will have, you know, if we will assume everything else is exactly the same as far as detail and you know, factors involved and content and ability, all those things. We'll say they're all exactly equal, but they have a photo that shows them doing something audio-y. It just is better in terms of a professional page, in terms of how they're presenting themselves. That's a +1 over you, 100%. And it might not even be a conscious +1, but they just see it's an audio person as opposed to just like a person sitting down in a park. It's just not quite, you know, the quality of the photo is just fine. But in terms of how you're presenting yourself and what you're communicating, there's an opportunity there just to teach a little bit more about you in zero time. You might as well do it, you know? Next up, what is this? Tiny Tina's Wonderland or Lands, we're not sure. Synth gameplay redesign. I don't know what this is. Completed as a part of a sound design challenge. The only rule is that only synths could be used to create all sounds. No recorded assets. The sounds recorded using phase, plant, and vital. No period. Okay, cool. I love using synth stuff for design. Team fight tactics, gameplay sound redesign. I tried mixing some cuter sounds with the serious tone that the character, no capital A, brings. As I rarely create cute or happier sounds, this was quite fun to do. Now, do you need to say that? I mean, I guess that's something to say you rarely do a thing. There might be a nice way to spin that instead. This is a wonderful challenge in, I don't know. This strikes me as strange, as I rarely create. Does that mean you don't want to? I mean, it's like this is a great chance to broaden my horizons into cuter sounds or something like that. You know? One big oopsie that Tyler made was that the intro to his reel was recorded in mono, but DaVinci Resolve only routed it to the left channel and had to re-upload. Whoa! Oh, man. Caught it right before submitting it here and the Gang Audio Derby. Yeah, I recall you saying you were freaking out at the Derby, but good on you for having the courage to be in that room. It's a little bit different than being on Real Talk, I would hazard to say. I mean, I guess you could say, you know, what feels better or worse, or I don't know, more at ease. But I mean, we have right now, we have like some 25 people watching. Not a big deal, you know? Everyone's friends here. That room, big sound system, bunch of folks that you might want to be on stage. It's scary, definitely. Scary room to be in. Okay. I glance through these. Okay, more magic effects. Okay. While playing this game, I fell in love with the gritty atmosphere of the game. Okay. Sound, gameplay, voice acting, etc. Okay. Great. This is probably too much text. Excuse me. Like this sentence. While playing this game, I fell in love with the gritty atmosphere the game presented throughout all its systems, sound, gameplay, voice acting, etc. Okay, so you liked the game. I tried to encapsulate the uphill struggle of the smaller ACs, the mechs. Just say smaller mechs. Felt while facing their foe. I had some struggle creating the gun sound designs, particularly the minigun, as they needed to be both extremely powerful and gritty sounding, while not sounding too familiar. Okay. Yeah, again, I had some struggle. It was a fun challenge. Why not say that instead? Like this to me suggests that you aren't happy with the result. So it's kind of just a reframing thing, perhaps? So I'm going to go into this, watching this, saying, oh, I guess this is the best that Amine could do. You know? Whereas it was a fun challenge is exactly the same meaning. It was a fun challenge making the gun sound designs. I'm like, oh, cool. They had a great time doing this. Let's have a listen. It's like a way different kind of just priming for it, you know? Marathon reveal trailer. This is all caps. This is not. I focused on telling a nuanced story and building tension through audio in this full trailer redesign. Yeah, the emoticon, maybe toss that. It's kind of cute and jokey, but I appreciate you looking forward to it, but it's just not really a place for this on your professional site, I don't think. Elden Ring. Okay, focus on this is to create new sounds. In that, I think I fell short. What are you doing? Just cut yourself some slack. Is this Nuno Bento again? Am I talking about Nuno behind his back? If you're lurking, Nuno, I apologize. I shouldn't be. If you're not lurking, I apologize. Nuno Bento. So funny. Please be nice to yourself. And in the end, like what you think kind of doesn't matter. I don't mean to be mean or rude or whatever, but I mean, I will watch it. I will draw my own conclusions. You don't need to tell me you already think it's not good. If you think it's not good, then why is it here? Right? Come on. Demon Souls, Armored Core, again. Okay. I'm so sad when I see stuff like that. Like even if we've heard almost nothing so far, right? So let's just say even if this is just not it, you know? Let's say this is just classic, we'll call it like classic kind of student redesign where it's say 20 to 40% complete and there's tons of details missing, no ambience, not a lot of attention given to full frequency spectrum stuff, whatever, all the kind of classic shortcomings. Even if that's the case, who cares? You love Elden Ring, you're redesigning this thing because you're enthusiastic to hone your skills. You know you're new to this thing, but you want to get better, and this is a great way to do it. What is wrong with that? That's great. Do you think my stuff always sounded sick? No. Like, I should try and dig up some old hard drive and play you some of my student projects. They are laughably bad. Who cares? Does not matter. Like, that shit was on my reel when I was applying to places to start out. 100%. Ugh. So frustrating. Okay, let's watch the reel. By the way, so I totally tore my rig apart, and I no longer have a Steinberg thing and an Apogee thing for interfaces. I now have two. This is 4. I have 2 Focusrite Scarlett 4i4s, and the PC side is also going into a passive Mackie Big Knob before going to the Mac. Right now, you are hearing that. You're hearing. Excuse me. It's why I can play music and sidechain myself against it, because the music is being routed to the Mac side. I'm talking into the Mac side. It's being sidechained against the aux, right? Makes sense. If I press this button, no more sidechain, because now you're hearing it direct from the PC instead. So this is the first time streaming with this new setup. I think it's working for the most part, but it's a little bit crazy to make it work for, well, for my sound design needs and also to work for streaming needs. So I hope it's all going to be okay. We're going to have a listen, though, and we're going to find out. Before we do, Alexander says, when I got my first video editing gig, I went to my boss and said, I don't know. I think it could be better, maybe? Because I wanted to lower expectations or something. Lol, a safeguard of sorts. Yeah, totally. He then said, then why the fuck would I watch this? Either sell it to me because it's awesome or never bring it up. It's a good point. If you think it's not good enough to show, then why is it here? And the thing is, the folks at Power Up can attest to this probably if they're watching right now, but occasionally when someone says, hey, I'm done this thing, what do you think? Occasionally my feedback will be, what do you think my feedback's going to be? And I usually only say that when I suspect that they know there are shortcomings. Because I don't want to tell them what they already know. Just like, what do you think? In that case, then Alexander, like if you think, I'm not sure it can be better, maybe perhaps, then I will say like, hey, do you think this can be better? And how do we think, how can we work together here to like formulate a plan to make this thing better? It's a collaborative process, right? But I don't want people to come to me and say, this is not good, have a listen. It's just not, it's helpful to nobody. We shouldn't do it. Okay. I'm officially ranting, so I'm going to stop doing that. But, okay, again, this should be full volume. Oh, okay, now it should be full volume. Let's have a listen. Amine Larbi, Game Audio Reel 2024. Let's go. Oh, I bet it's doing the thing, too, where it says it's Auto 360. Gross. That's what I thought. Let's try again. So just to say, I'm currently distracted because it seems quiet. I don't know if it's my fault or not. I don't think it is. But we'll watch the whole thing and we'll investigate afterwards. Okay? Cheers. And we're done. Okay. Thank you, Amine Larbi. All right. So, I mean, if I crank this, you know, it's probably loud. Let's go like Donkey Kong Country soundtrack. I mean, pretty loud. So I think this is not on me. I'm pretty sure. I go sidechain now. Yeah, it's peaking pretty low, minus 10-ish. So be aware, bring it up more. Definitely. Mike Logan Audio. How is this a first time chat? We looked at your stuff very recently. The heck? Pretty sure. What's up, frequencies? Good to see you. Perhaps it was a name change. Okay. Let's talk some presentation stuff. So, general audio level is absolutely under the presentation category, and it's low. So bring the whole thing up. Geez, 12 dB. Squash it by. I mean, if I just do that just for fun right now, what do we get? I'm gonna go crazy with this. Let's see. It's maybe a bit much, but... This is 7. I fully missed this, and I don't recall seeing that at all. Like from here to here, because I was looking at my levels and stuff. That was the first time I saw that just now. It's an important note, you know. If I can't just lock in and watch a thing, I'll be thinking about something else. It's not good. Okay, presentation length. It is 1 minute and 6. Cool. Good. Flow wise, I'm playing the normal volume again, by the way. Okay, we have a late title card. Game Audio Reel 2024. The date again, I always think it's just unnecessary. It's not like it's going to be a bad thing to have in there necessarily, but all I really care about is how good your stuff is. Give me your hottest stuff. Your hottest stuff was from last year. That's totally fine. If you have some hot stuff from 10 years ago, that's fine too. Just what is the best stuff you have to show me? Show me that. So I look at this date, and I think just in principle, I feel it's important, or worthwhile at least, to trim down on everything you don't need to be here, and this strikes me as something that just doesn't need to be here. Get rid of it. My opinion, up to you, obviously. Okay, marathon, TBA. TBA? Oh, we have dates in these things. Okay, let's talk about flow first. Flow first, then we'll get to the titling, okay? I got thoughts. Late card, 8 seconds in to roughly 11 seconds. Hard cut. Cool. I saw your bars disappear. Whoop. See that? Fancy. I mean, I guess. I'm not sure how much it's like achieving, but... And in that case, this is also... We were hit. Look at this. With the what do you call that? A chromatic aberration? That effect? Plus distortion? Fancy. Something else there too? What was that? What is happening here? Last of Us 2. Why did it move? Why is this changing? Because you want to give us the... Oh, it changed here too. I didn't even see that. So this is the full title. Okay. Okay, we're still talking about flow though. We'll get to the titles in a second. I'm distracted. But flow-wise, I like this transition. Kabam. And we're now here. Going ahead, we are cutting to something around here. It's a tasteful crossfade, but we are going from like grass to grass. Similar shot, very nice. And then we just end. So that's kind of unfortunate, but I guess, you know, up to you, but I think having an ending title card can't hurt. Just another impression of... What was this person's name again? Just cut to that. Why not, right? Cut to you. Kabam. Fade and name for 2 seconds as your tail on the big impact, you know, tails out. Why not? Okay, now titles. These lower thirds are a bit wild. They're a little wild. Look at this one. So they're consistent, at least, as far as their positioning. No, they're not. My mistake. They are not consistent. Back up top again. I mean, it's low. It's also all... I mean, I don't love the presentation in general. The date isn't super necessary. I mean, I'm not sure what this is achieving by being in your demo reel. Unless it's something like God of War. I mean, most people would assume the 2018 version, but you could mean that whatever that was, 2007 or whatever that game came out originally. Let's see here. God of War original release date, 2005? Yeah, 2005. It was close, actually. So 2005. In that case, if you're clarifying that it's the 2005 version of this game, then fair. But no one's thinking, oh, do you mean the Elden Ring from 1993? Like, no one's thinking this, right? So Elden Ring, parentheses or hyphen from software, beneath that, what you did. The 3 lines is not necessary at all. Also being all caps is kind of hard in the eyes. It's a bit hard to look at. Yeah. Yeah, I don't love that. TBA is another, like, why is this here? This just confused me. Like, why does it say TBA? I'm like, oh, it's the date. So I just don't think you need to have the date stuff there at all. It's not serve much of purpose. Okay, so next, cinematic. Okay, and then changing from this to then getting out of the way even more. The full fade and or like the crossfade to the other kind of refined version of the abridged version of the titling. I've never seen this before. I'm pretty sure. Perhaps if someone in the chat has, they can correct me, but I'm pretty sure this is new. And it's kind of a spin on the Zvi Sherman method, I guess, kind of, where you're saying, okay, the title is no longer important, so we're going to take it away a bit so you can focus on the action up top and watch this video. But if you do need to be reminded of what this thing is, this text is there. If you look down, it's there subtly waiting for you, right? So I guess I'm assuming that's the same motivation here, but it's just kind of the big crossfade, I feel, is a little bit of an overstep and just a little bit distracting compared to just the Zviing approach of just dropping opacity a bit. Also, being centered is kind of an unconventional rather than being just over here, lower third, classic. But, you know, go off. It's your call. If you like it being centered, then so be it. I just don't think that it's the all caps, 3 lines with kind of more info than we need is just, it's unconventional enough that it feels distracting. You know, there's certain conventions that absolutely can be broken here and there. Why not? You know, break those rules as long as you are aware you are breaking them and they're being broken with some kind of purpose in mind or some kind of direction or identity or something. It just feels like this is being done kind of just because, with no real reason behind it. So, and this one looks squashed. Is it squashed vertically? And I bet you squashed it to not overlap with the action right here. I bet that's why you did that. Because if you have it here, so it's like it's at the top of the more videos thing, basically. So that would put it here. That's not that high up. I don't know. Yeah, just also, again, the game is called The Last of Us Part 2. Throw that in there. Okay, Elden Ring. Wonderful. And we end. And throw that title card at the end. Why not? Yeah, overall, this could be pretty tight. Late title card is nice. Sure. I like how it's kind of blasts towards us and it fades. And here we are. Here's the reel. There you go. So now into material selection stuff. I had said nearing the beginning of the stream that it wasn't super clear what you were looking to do because you had the Hades up top. And not just that it's here at all, but it's at the top, right? So you have all these AAA things, or these AAA adjacent stuff, and then Hades right at the top. So being up first, this suggests you are most proud of this thing. Of all these things, this one has a special place in your heart. And it's not alphabetical because Valheim is not before H, you know? So this being here, and it's not in your reel, which is curious. Let's have a look at this. 25 seconds. Is this a frequencies thing? Is this a sound design challenge? Who knows? Auto. Whoa. Dropout. Whoa. Whisper. What's that saying? Hades? Okay. I got thoughts, but we'll go back to you for the time being. So, cheers, Alexander. We'll see you again. No sweat. Do your thing. Okay, so material selection. I began saying that it was kind of unclear with Hades being up top, but this reel makes it very clear what you're doing. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks, Steven. Thank you for clearing that up for me. AAA, obviously. You're looking for studio gig. But now I'm just further confused about the mechanical engineering thing because you're clearly looking to do a studio gig, right? Okay, so Mike, if you're not sure why the differentiation between indie and AAA is so, or design is so important / stark, it's not that, well, how do I phrase this? It's about meeting, it's a more psychological thing and communication thing. It's less about people in the AAA space can't design indie and vice versa. That's not what we're talking about. I feel confident that I could be slotted into a team working on like the next Star Wars game and I could probably hold my own. No, I'm confident about that. But like this, it's not my focus, you know, personally, perhaps. I mean, I'll speak more arbitrarily. It might not be a person's focus to work on like a certain franchise of AAA quality. It might be their chief focus. They want nothing but to work on Star Wars, right? So if we have, it's about aligning a person's aspirations with what they are communicating. So if I want to work in a AAA studio, then I should be endeavoring to communicate that by choosing AAA pieces. Because why would I redesign Hollow Knight if I want to work on Star Wars? And by redesigning Hollow Knight, I am communicating this is the kind of game I would love to work on. So if Star Wars recruiter rolls in to your website and sees, oh, they redesigned Hollow Knight, they might just think right away, oh, this person doesn't want to work on Star Wars. But little they know, that person totally does want to work on Star Wars, right? So that's why it's important. Like the quality of the audio is secondary, Mike. It's, are you effectively communicating the kinds of projects that you might want to be working on one day? That's what I was saying about Hades, is the question, does it mean want to work at Supergiant, or do you want to work From Software? You know, those are massively different companies. They operate very differently. The contracts are different, et cetera, et cetera. It could be just freelance. It could be that you want to work on AAA stuff, but you want to stay freelance. Like the various things that you say in your bio and you say and you just imply just through the pieces you've chosen for your reel. These things, it's all about like communicating more information in the same amount of time. Because this person the recruiter could come to you and say, hey, listen, we love your Hollow Knight redesign, but we're doing Star Wars stuff. So does that interest you? But the thing is that asking that question takes time. And they can't be asking that question to all of the candidates. It's just not a helpful question to ask. Of course they're going to say yes, unless they really, really don't want to. If they're like a junior starting out, if you have 100 juniors, they're all going to say yes, they want to work on Star Wars. But maybe 10 of them like love Star Wars. And they have Star Wars in their demo reels. And maybe 3 of those people, it's like Star Wars front to back. You know, they got a Wilhelm scream in there. They're taking serious risks. They're like doing the Siegfried Klar thing, right? If they're doing that, then, I mean, I'll look at this 3 out of 100, and I already have that answered for me. The question's answered for me. I don't need to go to them and say, hey, do you like Star Wars? Because they obviously like Star Wars, right? I don't need to go to like person 74 in the list and say, hey, just curious, would you be interested in working on Star Wars? Of course they want to be working on Star Wars, right? So it's just that kind of thing. You put in the pieces that you want to work on or that resemble the kinds of projects you want to work on. So when somebody comes to your page, like a recruiter, like a potential collaborator, some potential client, whoever it is, they will see these projects and say, oh, we're probably a good fit as far as our creative visions and the kinds of things we want to be making and the kind of audiences we want to cater to and the kind of budgets we're dealing with, the kind of contracts that are going to be involved, those terms, et cetera, et cetera. There's all these things that these questions don't need to be asked. They're just answered. And that, again, is just comes right back down to that foundational statement at the beginning of this whole review is just use the seconds you have effectively, you know? Don't make them ask questions. Just answer it implicitly. Done. All right. Mike, you got me ranting again. It was my intention to stop ranting, but here we are. Let's talk about some content quality stuff. All right? So pretty cool. However, I'm gonna crank this limiter back up again so we can hear it a bit easier. But this is an indication that we should really be fixing this. I'm gonna push it 7 dB, so a little higher than it was. It's like double the volume, right? A bit more than double. So I like this opening. It's kind of arbitrary, not surrealist, abstract design. It's nice. This could be a lot of things. You know, it could be kind of anything. You have some nice synth textures, et cetera, et cetera. However, there's some crackling. I don't think it's me. I'm still just paranoid because it's a new rig, right? So I'm like, is this a me problem? But so right there, you hear it on the dun dun dun. There's kind of like a 1, 2, 3 hit there. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. And on hits 2 and 3. Well, it's kind of 4 hits. Bum 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 bum. So 1, 2, 3. On 1, 2, 3, there's like a clack clack. Can we just? I'm putting this in the chat. Can someone just watch this on their home rig? Tell me if they're hearing the same thing. That'd be immensely helpful. 1, 2, 3. So it sounds like things aren't faded on those impacts. There's maybe 4 or 5 crackles there as well. Right there. You hear it? A lot in the left channel. So I heard that the very first time through. I heard the intro and the crackles there. And those things just sound like production errors. And the people hearing this reel will be very attuned to hearing that kind of thing. So you got to be careful of that. Okay, thanks, Oscar. Cheers. Two's Moons. Thank you. Yeah, cool. It's fun just to have evolving sound over time as an abstract piece of your sound design. It's nice. And I get you kind of have this the titling is kind of glitching out. And it goes in time with the kind of crackly, scratchy stuff, but it just really resembles errors. So be careful about that kind of thing. You can do distortion style sound design without having that kind of like hard sounds like an unfaded region stuff going on. And you can have unfaded regions for things like the very next clip right here. Right in there, as these things are glitching out, like right there in that time period I just played, as this stuff's moving, I would, if I heard clicks like that, I would say, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because this is supposed to sound like an error. You know? So it's not like you can never do that, but just be really careful when you do. It sticks out like crazy. Okay, so one thing with this section is this piece looks very fun to design. It's got a lot of hard changes. This looks completely different than the very next clip of this. There's a bit of blue in common. It's kind of the one thing it has in common. Next clip, again, super different. This is completely different than the last clip. We're doing hard cuts between very, very different things. It's just not, yeah, I just don't think that the sound design is reflecting the magnitude of those changes over time. Hey, it's Archer. Hello. You'd send a DM about portfolio review stuff. Yes, we very likely got it. And how it usually goes is I will do kind of like a one big pass to schedule 8 people at once kind of thing, as opposed to one at a time. So I will definitely hit you up soon. It'll likely be, if it's found to be a decent fit for the stream, I will let you know and be scheduled probably sometime in the next 4 months-ish, sometime in that space. I don't really look at the reels too much, other than just to glance and say, yeah, it's at least under the umbrella of the things we look at on stream. Occasionally, people will send in their SoundCloud page and say, "What do you think of my portfolio?" And I say, "Well, you know, cool portfolio, but this isn't really what we do on the stream." So I'll glance, and as long as it meets the smallest minimal checkboxes, then for sure we'll have a look. Okay, so hope my rig isn't the issue. Okay, so your phone speakers, it sounds great, right? Sounds perfect. Okay, so I was saying that these cuts are so hard. I mean, dark, bright red thing, action, movement, blue, cuts 2, nothing, slow camera, all green. You know? No movement, but the ambience stays the same, I think. The ooh, ooh, that sound there. Even there, this is such a hard cut, right? I mean, it's green to green, and it's supposed to be stylistically kind of a glitched version of what we're looking at right now. We can do frame by frame here. So there you go. It's 2 frames, and we're across to this. Boom, boom. right? So we're here. This is now, again, completely different. There's almost nothing in common apart from the subject matter, I guess, right? The figure of this character. That's it. We should be changing it entirely. And we have that so forth, but the immediacy of the change is what I'm talking about. It kind of goes, it slowly moves at that cut. Yeah, there's just a lot of room to move. The crossfades are doing this, you know, and they could do this just right there, nothing else. Boom, hard cut. Hey, Dognet, reverb carrying over. Is it? Let's have a listen. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we probably shouldn't be hearing. You know, as a sound designer, we're supporting the narrative here. If the narrative is hard cuts between locations, between subjects, then we should be doing hard cuts in sound also. As far as the textures you've chosen, as far as like the sounds of these things, cool. I think you can push it much farther. Or further, is that the right word to use? Further? Even here, this cut from your name to that, it's not that big of a change. And there's probably something to be said for easing the viewer into it, not to jar too hard, crazy static to start. But again, you go a bit further probably. And then hard cut. One thing here is the footsteps are kind of door knocky. You know? It's like bap, 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 bap. And there's some Foley movement, but I just don't really get footfalls from this. It's very just fist on a desktop kind of thing. Yeah. And in this case, what are we running on? What is this floor? Because the biggest sound here is the floor, but we're not even seeing the feet right now. The fact we're running is important to the storyline, sure, want to have footfalls in there. But in this case, are the footfalls that important? Is the sound, like the bap, 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 bap of the ground, is that the most important thing in the mix? Or in the story, and therefore should it be the most important thing in the mix? The loudest thing? Here as well, I mean, you have these shots. We have this clip down here, right? We have this. We can see this little dealio. We can see this little dealio. Some feet, some legs, something inside. Some liquid, it would seem. And then we cut to here. New shot. So it's two different shots. But as far as the soundscape, we cannot hear that change. It might be worth bringing this thing to the forefront. If you're putting your face right there in reality, and then your face right here in reality, would it sound identical? Probably not. There'd be some change. It might be subtle, not too exaggerated, but it would probably not be the exact same thing, right? So perhaps there's room to hear some... I mean, the thing is, we don't know what's to the right of this or to the left. This is where you can bring in a little more world building into your design too, and just decide what this room sounds like. Perhaps this moment isn't the exact same moment as this one. Perhaps there's a different piece of machinery making a hissing sound or a whining sound or something in the background or whatever is happening here, and we just mirror that change with a slightly different soundscape. In this case too, this shot, that running shot, and this running shot, where is it? Right here-ish. And this running shot, again, it's kind of the same issue. They sound kind of identical. but this is not the same shot as this one. Perhaps we should hear more of the body, more breathing, or just any breathing or something. Or maybe we hear less feet or more space or what. There's a lot of things you could change. Just bring something to the front of the mix a little more. Because here's a more of a distant shot, right? We have all of it, cuts closer. You can just choose to kind of differentiate different shots to better support this rapid camera changing. Just giving different perspectives on the story as it progresses, you know? And then here again, hard cut. Cool design though. I love doing distortion and stuff like that. Super fun. Oh, hello. Please. It's a nice time to cut here, by the way. Nice cut, going from computer review to computer review. Yeah, big sounds. So punchy, beefy, correct. I'm not a big guns guy, I say all the time. This here, there's maybe room for a couple more syllables. It's kind of very monosyllabic. That's it. You know, there's a bit of a clack in there, a little bit of one. We don't really have a spin though. We don't hear maybe like a chain of bullets going through or something being fed in or a ka-chink, 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 that kind of thing. It's just very do. So that layer can likely just stay as it is great, but it might just be worth feeding a little more information to us about what this mech is doing, what it's made of, the articulations of the weaponry and such. But even there, it's only spinning. Look at this camera cut. So we have this big action shot, and we cut to, boom, hit, and now we have this shot from inside. Look at this thing spinning. Spinning so much. No bullets yet. It's just going. So what is that all about? We can totally have the sound of the spinning, and then when the firing happens, we can bring that spinning down. We've kind of established that spinning sound, so we don't need to have it at the front of the mix anymore, but have it there, kind of. And bring in ka-chink, ka-chink, ka-chink on each hit. Right? Who knows? Yeah. I think that you can be a little more careful about the specificity of what you're bringing to the front of the mix over time. So you've got a lot of big sound here, and of course, naturally, when you play it back compared to the silence you began with before starting the redesign, this is crazy rich as a soundscape compared to nothing, of course. But if you start looking at, okay, what's the most important thing in this half-second clip, and this half-second clip, and this half-second clip? In this case, we have a lot of gunfire. But I would argue this moment is less about the gunfire and more about the agility of this mech. Like, look how fast it's moving, even in the computer shot, right? So quick. Yeah. Tyler, I think as a beginner, I was very afraid of blasting people's ears out with sudden or harsh sounds in my reel, which, funnily enough, your biggest piece of feedback was I had more headroom with dynamic range. Both the mixes for my audio reel and music reel for the demo derbies ended up sounding very reserved in the conference halls at GDC. Yeah, and you're back to back to back with a bunch of other reels too, right? So it may be even more apparent. Yeah, it's not an easy thing. But I mean, I just encourage you to look at actual trailers, look at the things you were designed, and see how they sound as far as loudness goes and dynamic range, that kind of thing. So having this weaponry, bam, 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 bam. There is a right here, right? Gets blown off, and blown off, and then boom, the whole thing. So that's part of it. It's agile, but we have that big moment there. We kind of land, and is it a jetpack that we were blasting forth right here? Yeah, it's like to change direction, right? That changing direction, it is screen filling. Look how bright. We can barely even see the opposing force here anymore, right? So what do we hear? Mostly guns. If I close my eyes, play it again. There's a little bit of movement, but not much. Not much. It might be worth designing this thing, bring the wind to the front of the mix, duck everything else briefly. Maybe even the gunfire. If it's a big enough thing and it's right in our face, that thing is probably loud as. Right? Who knows? There's probably room to pull back other things. These big blasts too. Bam. I think you have more room in your high end. Like really snap those things off. Big metal squeals, they get blasted off like arms coming off, right? Is that what it is? Bam, there it goes. Yeah, it's a lot of low and mid-range stuff in there. It's probably room to add a bit more contour with some higher end stuff. But yeah, like I mean, first time watching through for junior sound redesign, it's like pretty solid. There's a lot of room for. It's not like things are crazy missing. It's that just in terms of where the focus is over time, can use some love, which is a very common issue for redesigns of like from folks at your level. So nice work, really cool. It's fun to watch. Last of Us Part 2 is next up. Cool. Yeah, pretty solid. Okay, yeah, so really good stuff in here. I like this kind of like magic rain sound going on. I want to talk about this one though, just a little bit. So I realized too, when I was thinking about highs, I'm even wearing my headphones that crank highs like crazy. These M50s, they are so sensitive to highs. And even in that Armored Core clip, I was saying highs are low. So that means they're really low. So yeah, bring them up. In this case though, okay, so this right here, this movement is really worth dialing in. You know, if you close your eyes and try and picture where the speed and the timing and the intensity, magnitude, range in space of these whooshes. We kind of have it, kind of. But this first one especially, this woof, big whoosh, it's like and then drag and woof above, right? That in that case there, we don't really hear that movement at all. Like, we have that to start. We have kind of 1 and 2. Well, 1 and 3. We have 1 and 3. I can't do that. 1 and 3. We don't have this guy in the center. That's the connective tissue between that first kind of onset, the initiation of the attack, and then the aftermath, or I guess the impact moment is what we're hearing, and not much of the in between. Like, and you can achieve this by having the whoosh element, having that role be served by different frequencies. Have it in there. or have some rising thing for the rising motion. Could be you know, a good fit. So like 1, 2, 3, right? It's like it's almost in there. If I listen really carefully, it's like it's so small. But yeah. Yeah, and here as well, this cut here. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, pretty cool. Okay, so Two Salad Tom. I was just about to say. Okay, so this is a bit of a complex question when you're asking how should it sound compared to the original game. It's tricky because what I was going to say is that this sound here on the impact and even this one here, I mean, you cut pretty fast, so it's hard to tell how long that tail is, I mean, but big impact, big tail. The danger with this, and this is something we've talked about on Real Talk here and there in the past, is that it's important when designing any sound like this to consider what happens before and after, and particularly after, because if we have some big and it's just still going, but the visuals ended a second and a half ago, then we stand the risk of that sound overstaying its welcome and actually obscuring and masking other sounds that are more important and more currently relevant for the player to be hearing. Things like telegraph sounds or things like feedback to know they hit the thing they're aiming at, or they change their weapon, or they're low on health, or whatever the sound might be that is helping them play better. Our goal in game design and sound design is to help the player along, right? We're helping them to know what the hell's going on. And if we have some big sound that is obscuring things, we are actively harming that effort. So we got to be careful about that. This is not crazy egregious. It does seem big for what it is. It's not crazy big. It's on the edge, you know? And I haven't played much Elden Ring myself, so I can't speak to, oh, I know what it sounds like in the actual game. So it's kind of good for me in a way, Tom, right? Because I'm coming in fresh, and I just say, oh, this sounds neat. Cool. So I'll read your question again, though. Is this considered a faux pas? Should the redesign be more true to the original and then be creative within those constraints? I mean, I love seeing redesigns where someone says, hey, here is a game, but it's going to be 8-bit. You know, why not? I think it's important to make it your own. Well, I think it's important to have a goal, because the thing is, I have done redesigns or remakes in the past where, for example, I loved the two robots in Portal 2, Atlas and Peabody, is that right? And I wanted to experiment in seeing if I could recreate the same kind of voiceover. This is, like 13 years ago. I did this a long time ago. And in that case, I am not trying to say, hey, look at my creative vision. Look what I can bring to the table. In that case, I was saying, oh, I want to make this as close to this as possible. And this will be a learning experience for me, you know? So if you're clear that you want to match a style and say, look at me, I can hang with this crew, then cool. If there is a balance there, though, because if you are exactly remaking a sound, if, say, you have the sound of Sonic getting hit and the rings spilling everywhere, you say, I want to make that sound exactly, and you put it in your redesign, is that here's a sound I made? I mean, yeah, but it's just their sound that you just made again. So if you want to try, there's a deeper question here, though, of what is the source material you're choosing? If you're choosing materials that everyone knows the sound of, like Sonic getting hit and the rings spilling everywhere, then yeah, what the hell else are you going to do? You can't do a sound that doesn't sound like that. Or lightsabers. Everyone knows what lightsabers sound like. So when you go in and say, oh, but I'll make it sound like this instead. Yes, you're bringing your own creative vision, but like, why the hell doesn't it sound like a lightsaber? You know? So in those cases, it's like you can put lightsabers in your work, but they better sound like lightsabers. And then maybe when they have a force push sound or something, or force pull, or whatever, or choke, that can be a bit more abstract. You can start injecting your own vision in those sounds instead. In those cases. So yeah, it comes down to the source material you are choosing, and trying your best not to choose things that everyone knows the sound of, because even if you do a great job doing something else, it might just sound wrong. Because the person listening says, oh, I know what that sounds like, and it doesn't sound like that. So something's wrong here. Even though it might sound cool to someone who is like an alien coming in who's never seen Star Wars before, right? So yeah, it's a bit of a complex question to answer, hence the verbose answer. But I hope that's helpful at least. I mean, I definitely don't. I know everyone I've spoken to who, let's say, like who did the design for a game like Last of Us Part 2. They love seeing their stuff redesigned. I love seeing Celeste redesigned. I mean, it's very frequent. I'll see something someone did in Celeste and say, yeah, I wouldn't do that. And other times I'll see something and say, oh, and I'll think, wow, that's a really cool idea, actually. And I mean, the best case, kind of best and worst, I'd see something and say, oh man, that's way better than me. That's way better than I did it, which is fine too, right? So yeah, it's a tricky thing, but the important thing is just like doing your best and bringing what you can bring to the table and making sure that shines through in the redesign. So, okay, so on the whole, not looking at much of this stuff. I mean, I'm curious though. Okay, so it's quite long. Minute 20. And this one is 30 seconds. This one is 21 seconds. So these do seem like longer pieces compared to, why? It's not redesign 1. Why is there a 1 here? One of my early redesigns. Yeah, again, it's the biggest thing. I mean, you got to start reframing all your stuff as being fun challenges as opposed to I did my best and I'm sorry. You know, it's got to be positive. You gotta. Okay, we should watch this though a little bit more. I didn't even want to, and you know why? Because there's freaking text. There's text here. I don't want to read it. Why is integrated? Oh my god. Why is play? Why is integrated into imported controller script player? It's gone. Look how much this sucks. It's never. Oh, it's going so fast. I'm gonna try again. Why is integrated into imported controller script player speed reflecting in footstep speed when sprinting? Okay. Switches used in Y to determine ground material. I'm reading this. I can't look at this while I'm reading this. You need to change this. You must commentate this. No one's going to watch this. I guarantee they're going to watch 15 seconds and then stop it and close it. And you put so much work into this, not only into the video, but into the work the video is looking at. And it's all going to waste. Because no one wants to read this stuff. It's just way too much work to try and interpret information from this while looking at your scripts and your wise session structure and so forth, so on. And there's no sound here. You aspire to work in sound, and there's no sound in this thing. Do you see the issue? It's a big problem. If you're talking through it, there's sound. And again, we can hear your aptitude for recording and cutting voiceover. We can learn about you from hearing just how you speak about something that you claim to be passionate about. There's, like, you put so much work into this thing. It's just such a shame. I'm not looking to be mean here and say this sucks. It is really unfortunate that you put so much work into this thing and the presentation is just so ineffective. So I really, really hope that you're able to just dial back in this thing. Keep the video as it is. Just kill off all the text and just tell us. Tell us what you've done. I would love to learn about this stuff. I cannot be bothered to read through. It's just way too difficult. Oh man, this is brutal. Brutal. Yeah, Mike, I get so mad. I'm sorry. I'm angry because I care, you know? I want this to land, and it's just super not landing at all. Yeah. A lot of great work here, I mean. A lot of really solid work. It is definitely redesign heavy, which makes this even worse, because this is the only thing you have in here that is implementation-y. I guess your Valheim thing is like that too. What's this deal? I mean, it's not. Yeah, this is, for something as kind of interesting as this is, I would again love if you would treat a video like this or a video like this as you inviting us into your office, and I say, hey, what you been working on? And you say, oh man, this is so nerdy, you're gonna love it though. I took Valheim and I modded it to change the two-handed, etc., etc. You're gonna love this thing, so check it out. Here's what I did. Here's how I did it. Maybe even like include the original so we can hear the difference for people that don't play Valheim very much. Like, it's hard to just watch this alone and say, oh, I fully get everything about this. Walk us through it. Help us out. Yeah, it's yeah, there's a lot of redesigns. This could use more information about your Unity and whys, so forth. Like, do you know Fmod? Do you know Unreal? Is Unreal in here somewhere as well? I feel like I saw Unreal somewhere. Was it in your portfolio or your about? Skills. Yeah, so you claim Unreal Engine, but we don't see it anywhere. And then I guess that's sure. And additional skills, Fmod. And again, we don't see that. So you're claiming this, but we're seeing none of it in your portfolio. So just, I'm sure you're aware that your portfolio is quite pear-shaped right now. A lot of redesign, and I mean, only this video for implementation, and it's a rough one. So this is a huge problem, and it must be addressed. So, okay, so because of all the above, as far as this last note distinction, I would say that you've got some solid chops for a junior sign designer, definitely. But as far as presentation goes, as far as this glaring issue, I don't think you're quite standing out in a crowd yet. I think you could, if you deal with typos, if you get some more of this style content done in a more effective manner, various issues here and there to address. It could be really strong. You obviously have some attention to detail when it comes to the transitions in here, in terms of packaging a full like creative project, telling a story about you, that kind of thing. It's clearly you have some inclination there, so that's great to see. Just keep going, okay? And as always, if you have any questions or further concerns or comments or thoughts or whatever, please feel free to reach out. Happy to chat when I have time. All right. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Okay. Back to, I guess, Donkey Kong Country. That's what we're doing now, right? All right. Wonderful. All right. I'll calm down. I apologize. I'm currently working on a post-GDC write-up, says Tyler, that's going on my website in blog form with embedded audio samples, snippets of sheet music, etc. Do you think something like this would be better served by a video with commentary? I mean, I don't know. It's, excuse me, it could be just a YouTube vlog post where you go through the various things that happened and cut to this, cut to that. Maybe that'd be awesome. Who knows? I mean, it really comes down to how you want to do it. blog posts are very classically, here's a write-up of stuff I did with supplementary materials, you know? Why not? Up to you. What inspires you? Do that thing, okay? Okay, thanks everyone, and we will be back in 2 weeks' time, and I'm gonna go rewatch the BAFTAs stream. All right? Thanks everyone. Cheers.